Public opinion is on our side on this. Unfortunately, we've got a handful of House Republicans right now who are blocking going ahead and letting legislation get to the floor.
President Obama continued his push for immigration reform this week, using a meeting with law enforcement officials gathered at the White House in town for National Police Week to take a shot at Republicans for not passing a comprehensive immigration reform bill. It's no secret that factions within the Republican Party, including leadership, desire to get some kind of immigration reform done sooner than later. And Speaker Boehner reiterated his feelings on the matter, offering this comment during a speech in front of the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce on Monday.
This is not about politics. It's not about elections. It's about doing the right thing for the American people. It's about doing the right thing for the country.
Well, how that desire translates into concrete legislation is another matter. Today, Tea Party Express co-founder Sal Russo offered his take on the immigration reform debate by way of an op-ed for Roll Call, writing, "Conservatives should be at the forefront of reform so the law reflects the just interests of the United States, not misty-eyed ideals of some of the liberal do-gooder reformers. What is good for America should be the sole criteria for immigration reform." Now, some may be surprised this is coming from a Tea Party figure, but should they really? Joining us now is Sal Russo, the co-founder of and chief strategist for the Tea Party Express, who wrote the op-ed in today's Roll Call. Sal, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
So in your piece today, you outline a basic structure for where you think immigration reform should go, with issues like border security, entrepreneur visas, economic-based green cards, and a pathway to some type of legal status. So something here that struck me a little bit was the pathway to legal status, which may be surprising coming from a Tea Party guy, but also the idea of entrepreneur visas. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think that our current immigration system is broken. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, we admit people based on a quota by country. We have diversity requirements, and we need to junk that system, and we should admit people in the United States who advance the cause of our country, serving our just interests. So, you know, we know some types of people we need. You know, we need the best and the brightest. I mean, this isn't the 1920s when we were trying to man an industrial revolution. We're in a technological revolution today. So we need smart people, capable people in the country. We also obviously need help in the agricultural segment. We don't have enough seasonal workers, and you know, frankly, the Democrats have messed up the program so bad that, you know, it's become a magnet for illegal immigration. So
right.
My whole point of the op-ed piece was, look, conservatives are frustrated, they're angry, they don't like what Obama's done or the Democratic plan. My call is, let's get busy, let's put conservative ideas to work. And we don't have a prescription per se, but I think there's a lot of good conservative ideas out there. Let's take ownership of this issue and not leave it to the president or the liberals.
Given the part that you say that there should be a pathway to some type of legal status here, what makes your idea different than the Senate Gang of Eights proposal, for example?
Well, you know, first of all, you know, I'm opposed to any kind of unilateral amnesty, but what we do need to do is we need to find out who's here so we can sort it out. If you don't know who's here, you can't decide that we want somebody, you know, because they serve some need that we have in the United States, or that we don't need somebody. So there has to be sort of an interim temporary process by which people are registered, they have a legal status, but is nowhere is it give them a pathway to citizenship.
It sounds
but
like
you just have to get from the chaos we have today to some kind of an organized system.
It sounds like we're returning to ideas, though, that we've looked at before, and they sound fine until you look at the execution of how the idea would work. And as you go through it, you say, wait a second. For example, Representative Raul Labrador from Idaho, earlier in the week, he was talking about how we can solve the problem of 25% of illegal immigrants by removing the ban on their return into this country for having been here illegally. Well, no, actually, because they're already here, and they don't want to go to the back of the line, so that's actually not going to work in implementation at all. Here, once again, this notion that we won't be having amnesty if people are given a pathway, if you can't enforce currently the immigration laws on the books, adding more laws and saying, oh, well, if they don't learn English, pay back taxes, and do all of these things, what? We keep coming to the what? Nothing. They're going to stay anyway. Right. So until you actually shut off some of the attractions, the magnets, as our guest put it, for them to come here, and until you actually secure the border, everything else is just a smokescreen. It's the same old stuff we've talked about before, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I don't disagree with that. And I think that, a stronger position would be that if you can't expect, if laws aren't on the books aren't being enforced now, what makes you think they're going to be enforced later?
Today,
so the focus should be enforcement first.
Well, today we just, the Washington Times had a piece that said that immigration officials last year released thousands of murderers, people with DUI.
36,000.
Into this country. I mean, how can we trust Democrats when they say we will secure the border, just give amnesty first and then we'll secure the border, when they are not even enforcing the laws right now?
Right, and part of this would involve making a deal with President Obama, who has made it pretty clear that it doesn't matter what the deal is, he's going to do whatever the heck he wants. And so passing new laws with an executive who doesn't enforce the existing ones seems like a waste of time.
It seems like there's two levels to this debate, one of which I think everyone agrees on. I think everyone at this table. It's all about order and sequence. What comes first? And securing the border must come first, because if you do not, every other debate from that point forward is a hamster on a wheel. We just keep returning to it over and over.
Cyclical amnesty.
Yeah. So, but then let's assume for a moment that there was some mechanism to secure the border and we could actually ensure it with a president that would enforce that law. Then we have the question of what to do with the 7 million illegal immigrants in this country.
It's more like
whatever the number may be. 11,
million.
20.
Go ahead.
But there's only three real options, right? The three options are some form of amnesty, deportation if that's possible. Can you possibly deport all those people?
No. Or
allow them to continue to live in the shadows and provide a shadow workforce. That's it. Everything else seems to be, I don't know, nuancing yourself out of reality. Those are your three choices.
I want to ask our guest, Sal, why, as somebody who is representative of a Tea Party organization, you recognize the Obama administration's dishonesty on many issues in the past, including on specifically immigration. Why go for comprehensive? Why start to use their rhetoric and accept their premise that this all has to be done at once? What's wrong with, you bring up things, for example, like special visas for highly skilled. I've never heard anybody make a case against that was coherent. Why not just do that and then move on to item 2 and item 3, as opposed to saying, let's do everything at once so they can slide in amnesty because they don't care about anything else?
I totally agree with that. In fact, I mean, that is the plan. I've met with some of the leadership in the House, and that's what they want to do. They want to take it piece by piece. So when I say comprehensive immigration reform, I don't mean bundling it into one bill, but I mean we need to address all the elements of it. And the first thing is border security. We have to control who comes in and out of the country. And I totally agree with it, what all of you are saying, that we have a president that hasn't been enforcing the law, and so there is no confidence. So I don't think there's going to be any kind of resolution if we have to count on Barack Obama enforcing it. So I think anything that gets done is going to have guarantees that we have better border security that we have, and that's going to take long enough time that Barack Obama is going to be out of office by the time it takes effect. But the one thing that we can't do is we can't perpetuate a system today that's totally broken, because we have to get rid of the magnets that draw people here. I mean, border security is crucial, but the most important element in border security is get people to not want to come because they can't find employment, they can't find a better opportunity by coming here illegally.
Right,
and so we have to disincentivize people from coming illegally in the first place.
Absolutely, and I would think those things would have to go hand in hand. And some of those things, some of those magnets, key ones are workplace enforcement. First of all, E-Verify, absolutely. There need to be stiffer penalties for employers who continue to employ illegal immigrants. There needs to be, we need to revamp the anchor baby things that goes on here, and chain migration. You should not be able to come to this. We're the only country in the world that allows an illegal immigrant to come here, have a child, and they're automatically American citizens. That has got to change. And as far as you should not be able to go to school unless you can produce citizenship. You should not be able to get public benefits unless you can produce citizenship. I don't understand why these things, if you really want to control immigration, you have got to stop making it so easy for people to live here illegally.
But you're racist for saying that.
I'm not a racist. I'm an American citizen who thinks that the law should be followed.
That's right, and I agree with you. But those charges will always come out. And the proposal for the skilled worker visas and increasing that, that's the argument I've seen on the House floor from people who oppose that, because they say, everybody should be treated equally. You shouldn't be treated, especially because you came to the United States, paid your own way, you got educated, you became an engineer, and now you're capable of earning good living, and we don't want you to go back to your own country.
We should pick who gets to stay here legally and who does not. And by the way, the false
from the left.
urgency around this debate is one of the things that I think is the clearest reason why we know that this is all nonsense.
Right.
They're giving this artificial timeline of 2 to 3 months. President Obama, we got 2 to 3 months, just in time for the midterms for us to demagogue the you-know-what out of this issue. We all know what this is about. We could take this over the course of years. They want to force it down everyone's throat now.
Sal, really quickly, if you have a few seconds left, have you gotten any pushback for this from conservatives?
Well, I think some conservatives are worried that Republicans are going to capitulate and go along with the Democratic reform bill. And of course, that's the point I'm making is I don't want that to happen. I don't like the Gang of 8 bill. I think the Democrats look at it from what's in the best interest of the illegal immigrant. That's the wrong perspective. The perspective should be is who do we want to stay here because it serves America's just interests.
Right.
So it's backwards. And so that's why I want conservatives to get off the sidelines and take the lead. Let's have a conservative immigration bill so we don't have to deal with some of the nonsense we're hearing from the Senate Democrats and the president.
I think it's fair we should wrestle the narrative back from the liberals, but this debate is far from over. Sal, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Speaking of the Tea Party, the results are in, and the Nebraska and West Virginia primaries are being hailed as Tea Party victories. We'll discuss the outcome in tonight's Q&A.